Today's lesson is going to take you through how we can graph equations using tables. First thing we're going to do is complete a table based on the equation. For each empty box in the table, you're going to replace with the known variable to find out the other variable. In the first box, we know the letter R is 2, so I'm going to replace in the equation R with a 2. When I do this, it tells me that t should be 5. In the second box, we know t equals 7. I'll replace t here. And this time, we have to solve and figure out what r is. For this, you might be able to identify that r is 4, because 4 plus 3 would give you 7. When we deal with larger numbers, remember, when we solve an equation, we use our inverse operation. So here, if I did that minus 3 on both sides, I get that r again is 4. The next one, I have that t is 11. Again, each time I do this, I'm going back into the original equation, replacing t with 11. And here again, I'm solving for the r. So instead of adding these two, I would be subtracting. 11 minus 3 tells me that r would be 8. One more box to fill in. Okay, and in this box, we're told that r is 5. Replacing the r in my equation with a 5 tells me that t should be 8. Okay, we're going to use these sets of numbers to graph on the next slide. Okay, on here, I have the exact table filled out with just the values. The first column is going to represent our x value. The second column would represent your y value. Okay, remember, our x-axis is the one that runs horizontally, so left to right. The y-axis goes up and down. So I'm going to graph all 4 of these ordered pairs. The first one being the point 2, 5. So I go over to the 2, and then I'm going to go up to the 5 and put a dot. Next one is 4, 7, going over 4, up to the 7. Next one is 8, 11, over 8, up to the 11. And then the fourth one we have is 5, 8, over 5, up 8. The equations we're working with today should form a straight line when you connect all your dots. Let's look at one more example. Again, for today, you're just going to be completing a table and filling in the graph. So my completed table here is going to represent the equation m equals 6n. I'll replace here to start 5 where the n is. When I do that, remember the 6 is the coefficient of the m, so this is really 6 times the n. In this problem, 6 times 5, which is 30. As you're working, you can definitely solve some of these problems mentally. So you don't need to show the steps out, you can just write in the box the 30. The next one, I have 3 in the n column. So to fill in this empty box, I'm going to replace my n with a 3. Okay, remembering that's not 63, but 6 times 3, which is 18. In my next box, okay, 24 is representing the m. So I'll replace 24 for m this time. So I'm looking for 6 times what number is 24. If you're not sure what that is, you can divide. Divide by 6 on both sides. Tells you that here the n should be 4. The last box is telling us n equals 8. So I'm going to replace, again, the n value with the 8, or 6 times 8 which is 48. Once we have this set of tables, we're going to look on my next slide, and we're going to go ahead and graph. Here I have the points 530, 318, 424, and 848. Okay, again, the first column is going to be the x, the second column is the y. Okay, noticing on this graph, we don't have values listed on the graph. So before I can put these points on, I'm going to number. In this example, we're going to see what it looks like when we have a different scale. Okay, looking at these x values, I have the lowest number here is 3, the highest is 8. So relatively small numbers, I'm going to use a scale of 1 along my x-axis. So I'll put these numbers directly above the line, and I can stop once I get to 8. Okay, however, when I look at these y values, I have to go all the way up to 48. So I can't count by ones because I don't have enough space here. Okay, so we want to think of a scale or a number that's realistic to count by so I can get up to 48. Something that's going to help me choose that for this particular problem is I look back at the original equation. I remembered each of these numbers was multiplied by 6, so choosing a scale of 6 would make sense. As you count up, remember this corner point here is your 0, so the first line here, I'm going to write 6, and I'm going to skip count by 6s until I get up to 48. Okay, so now I'm going to graph these 4 points. First one is 530. Okay, remember the first value tells you going to the right. The second value is positive, so we're going up. So we go over 5 up to the 30. The next one is over 3 up to the 18. Over 4 up 24. Over 8 up to the 48. Again, the equations we're working with today, you should be able to connect to form a straight line. You connect your dots again here. We have a straight line. In today's assignment, you're going to be given a table first, just like we have in problems like this. Okay, you're going to need to then take these values you get from your table to record and graph on your slides. Today's lesson is pretty much the end of this unit. Okay, so it's covering a lot of material that we've been talking about for weeks. And we're going to continue working on this. So if it's a little bit difficult for you today, we'll get some more practice tomorrow.